What about the ones that put hoses up their tailpipe and die of asphyxiation?
That's why not
2 minutes
do something effective. I will bet you that on the agenda in August, she's going to have 2-3 months to think about, 2 months to think about.
Oh, yeah.
It, and I'll bet you there will be nothing on the agenda, that everybody can agree on.
Right. Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County self-defense rights. And if you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join ocgunowners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is the organization to help get more pro-gun or pro-Second Amendment officials elected. Become a member today. ocgunowners.com/join. ocgunowners.com/join.
So I talked a little bit about it in the last segment. We on Tuesday, the county board had a meeting. It was actually their last meeting of the session. Did you know they get a summer break? I know. What are they doing for the summer?
Well, not only that, Congress takes the whole month of August off.
Well, anyway, so they took a summer break, but at the last session, they had a presentation for the county board, and it was the listening sessions and that report. It's 204 pages for the gun violence reduction.
Buried that thing already?
Well, we're getting there. So
I figured they would bury it because they don't want anybody to see it.
Well, no. So they thought it was great. The anti-gun people thought it was great. They came up with a number of suggestions. So what they did is they said, all right, well, we got this 204 pages, and they had a number of recommendations. So what they called for was to accept the report, including the recommendations. Now, the recommendations were not well presented to the public, right? Which is usually the case.
Usually the case.
Because they don't want people to,
Well, they don't even want you to read them.
But here it was. They actually had 3 phases of recommendations. They had, short term or immediate, and then like a midterm, and then, long term. And the short term, and they were all kind of dependent upon each other. This wasn't like here, let's pick and choose. It was, here's this whole big program. Either if you hit go, the whole thing's coming. So the first part of it was just kind of setting up infrastructure and didn't actually require any money, and so it all looked innocuous. That's what people kept saying. Oh, this looks innocuous. I don't know. It doesn't look that bad. But the reality is that was just setting up the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So they had a bunch of recommendations. Some of them were like, we're gonna have, the county's gonna provide free gun locks. So if you contact the county, you can get a free gun lock. Well, you already do that. You can do that with the sheriff. Not only that, but what happens, Alicia, every time when you buy a gun, what do you got to do?
They make you buy a lock.
They make you buy a lock.
Can't leave the building without it.
No, there are some manufacturers that provide them, but for those that don't, you're required to buy one.
And you
can't even bring one that you have already at home unless you bought it in the last 30 days and you have your receipt to prove when you bought it.
Why does it have an expiration date on it?
Apparently.
Well, yeah. So you have to. So gun lock, whatever. Maybe that one is innocuous, but the rest, it was like setting up panels, and there's basically every suggestion that had the word gun violence in it, was anti-gun. It's really what it turned out. They wanted to set up departments and processes and procedures, that was basically setting the stage for phase 2 and then eventually phase 3.
Right.
And what they were looking to do was have this huge county-wide effort to reduce gun violence. Basically, everything was going to be seen through the lens or prism of gun violence. They're going to have these solutions for gun violence rather than a solution for violence or a solution for suicide or a solution, to try to better society.
Right,
it was just going to be all about guns. And so my point, was basically everything that they set up today, we will be fighting the messaging and the policies for the next 20, 25 years.
Oh, without a doubt.
So gotta vote against this thing.
Yeah.
This is not.
Are they going to try to put this up for a vote?
So they did, and what they did, it's the county board votes on it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So they had I don't know, 30 or so of the anti-gunners show up, and I got to tell you, man, they were basically taking a victory lap. I mean, it was they were just assuming this thing was going to pass, and it was all the phrasing was, well, once this is passed, and hey, thank you for voting for that.
We'll
Hey,
be
it's gonna
fine.
Yeah, this is all going to solve everything in the whole world. And there were some really sad stories. Some people came and said, hey, my family member was the victim of gun violence and died, and that's all very, very sad and tragic. It truly is.
Without a doubt.
But one of the things that really stood out is there was a recently graduated girl. She just graduated from high school. And basically, it was, we need to get rid of gun violence. You guys need to pass this thing so that we can get rid of gun violence, because everybody in school, grade 1 through 12, is terrified of school shootings. Now, which is okay, but they're terrified of school shootings because the anti-gun groups make them terrified of school shootings. A school shooting is so enormously rare.
Right.
It's so complete. And the problem is they totally misrepresent the numbers. There's been 200 mass shootings, and 47 of them have been school shootings. When the reality is, if you look at these mass shootings, they're not what you and I would think of as a mass shooting.
Right.
When you look at the school shootings, they're not what you and I would think of as a school shooting. A mass shooting, anytime someone 3 or more,
Fires up again. Yeah.
Now, if that could be 2 gang members, or 2 gangs going, a drug deal gone
And
bad.
nowhere near a school.
Well, so that's a mass shooting, right? So you got 2 gangs go head to head. They shoot at each other over a drug deal gone bad, and they call it a mass shooting. That's not what anybody would consider a mass shooting.
No.
Unless you're trying to ban guns.
Right.
And then the school shooting part, Dave, to your point is, now let's say that those 2 gangs meet 100 feet from a school at midnight on a Saturday night when there is no school in session, right? In the summer, when there hasn't been school in session for a month, that's a school shooting. See what I'm saying? 2 gangs shoot at each other.
Right.
100 feet from a school,
Right.
in the middle of the night when there's no school going on, they consider that a school shooting. That's not what the rest of the world. The solution for school shootings, it is not, and the solution for gangs, on gang violence are completely different.
Totally different.
So this poor girl has gone through her, grade 1 through 12 scholastic
Scared to
career,
death.
scared to death, not because a school shooting is a realistic possibility, but because the other side is using it as a political, political tool,
Right.
to try to pass their agenda.
So let me ask you this. How much horsepower would this be if you went to them and said, okay, you're going to pass this, and that's going to eliminate gun violence? Great. You know what? Sign this document that says exactly what you said. Guarantee the city of La Mesa, the city of San Diego, that if you do this, there'll never be another mass shooting.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean,
they won't do that, of course.
no, but you at least you've got to bring it up, because then you'll push them back on their heels and say, "Oh, well, we can't guarantee that."
Well, I do think that
But
some,
they think it will.
I think these laws need to sunset, and I think it would be nice if, even if we're in the minority, the pro-gun, the pro-Second Amendment folks are in the minority. I think that there are ways to force some of these laws to sunset and say, all right, okay, so you're going to pass this law, it's going to stop gun violence. Define that. It's going to bring it down 50% or 20%.
You guarantee this.
Well, so then 3 years from now, if it hasn't done that, it needs to go away.
That's even.
You know what I
better.
mean? Like sunset it.
I would rather put them in jail if it fails, but sunset's probably better.
What would you think? Let me ask you that. You're right. It's probably better, Dave. Put them in jail. What would you think? A pro Second Amendment city council member, let's say, or a county board member, whatever, an elected official, they're pro Second Amendment.
Okay.
They vote for some anti-gun process, procedure, whatever, because the anti-gun folks that proposed it agreed that if it doesn't hit certain metrics in 3 years, that it'll sunset.
Right.
Would you be mad at the elected official? What do you think, Alicia? Would you be mad at him for doing that?
2 minutes.
That's a deep one to think about.
Really
I
confusing, huh?
feel both ways. So,
Well,
because I feel like it's giving in,
yeah.
and I feel like that could be something that could be used as fodder later.
So you agree they should go to jail?
They got to go somewhere. So, and back to the point that you were talking about that girl who's got fear of school shootings. That you know what I think of when I think of that is I think of they're planting seeds of fear so that future generations are going to continue what they've begun.
And where are their
100%.
parents correcting that fear? I mean,
Watching the news,
watching the news, exactly. But
living into the fear.
But about it, oh gosh, I don't know how I feel about that.
well, you think about it because we got to take a break.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not done yet.
I think that, the right thing to do is
1 minute.
obviously they need to vote against it.
Right.
But if they know this thing's going to pass, it's almost like playing political chicken.
Yeah,
You know?
because if you're confident it's going to fail, therefore in the end you get what you want. But I feel like they could have a move in the wings that you don't know, and you're feeding in and you're
well,
giving
of
them
course,
an advantage.
You know,
Right.
there's underlying something around it.
Yeah,
Have they
well-
voted on it yet?
So we're gonna talk about it in the next segment. We're gonna talk about this for 2 segments, Dave.
A little bit of suspense, huh? You got me on the edge of my chair.
But nobody did that. I haven't actually seen that maneuver yet. Where trying to sunset. The only
That's a good one, though.
one that I've seen is back in '94 when they did the federal assault weapons ban. They sunset.
That sunset.
Sunsetted in 2004.
But it stopped hundreds of thousands of killings.
yeah, right.
Ask Biden.
You know there was a study, right?
Yeah, and it did nothing.
Zilch.
No.
Zero.
Biden said it eliminated hundreds of thousands of deaths. Piece of cake.
Whatever.
I know. I like sunset.
Crazy joke.
No, I think we should put him in jail. But okay, let's take a break. Hey, have you ever wanted to get a pilot's license? Well, here in San Diego, pilots can fly almost every day, which makes San Diego one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Check out these deals just for gun owner radio listeners. 1 hour of ground school, 1 hour of flight with the instructors. Yep, you get to fly. Normally $400, but for us listeners, $350. Getting started is easy. Give them a call at 858-569-1822 or just go to SDFTI. But I would call them 858-569-1822.
So we were talking about the what happened at the county board on last Tuesday, and we were talking about how they were throwing everything at the wall, every little thing. So they were talking about kids and high schools and school shootings and everything, and they also talked a lot about what we talked about in the last segment, which was what happened in Fallbrook and kids and that sort of thing. And one of the things I brought up was reversing. What is it? AB
2571.
So talk about, Alicia, why does that inhibit?
So AB 2571 was a measure that was brought forward that if you read it, it talks a lot about products. It prohibits marketing, advertising, attracting anything that youth in a way that youth would be attracted to anything related to guns. The verbiage reads a lot dealing with products, gun products, firearm products. But if you read deep down, there is a section down in 22949.80 that reads that any person, firm, corporation, company, partnership, society, et cetera, has a big long list that encourages the use, purchase, ownership of firearms, and also encourages events where firearm or products related to firearms are used are prohibited. So you cannot
So you can't even
to kids. So you can't market a safety class for children. The NRA has I forget his name, Eddie the Eagle, as their little their advocate to youth to kind of encourage gun safety. Yep. You can't teach in a way. You can't use anything caricatures, anything cartoony, anything that would be attractive to youth as training materials and courses on flyers to try to encourage kids to come to parents to sign their children up for youth safety classes. Many rifle shooting clubs were afraid of being non-compliant with this ruling and this measure, and so they feared fines, and so they no longer will call themselves, for example, youth rifle shooting clubs or things like that.
Well, there used to
They
be a
still
lot
exist.
of those in school.
And that's been gone for a while. Back when I was in high school, we shot rifle right in the classroom. So these classes, these trainings are still happening, But as instructors, we can't market them. We can't label them. We can't say, hey, parents, let's teach your children about gun safety. I know when I teach youth, before I teach them anything about the firearm itself, we do have a talk and a discussion about, first off, if you see a gun, you don't touch it. We go over all that. I don't dive right in like, hey, this is what you do. This is how you use it. We have a discussion first. And then we move into when you have permission, you have a parent there with you, you're working with an instructor. When you're in a situation to where you have authority to be able to be doing this, this is how we handle it. So I go over all of that with them. But as an instructor, we can't proactively find ways to let parents know that these avenues exist to teach their children about gun safety. Parents can bring them. Parents can approach the instructors, but instructors cannot.
approach the
correct. And so, there are a lot of parents. I know I've had a couple parents reach out to me through email. I'm not sure how they find me, but they find me and they say, hey, I'm looking for this information for my kids. I'd like to take them to a safety class. I can't find one anywhere. And so that's why you can't find them anywhere. They do exist, but they can't be advertised. And so it's a missed opportunity to teach children to be respectful and safe, to teach them respect for firearms. You mentioned growing up, when you grow up around them, you have a healthy respect for them. When they're hidden and tucked away, there's kind of like a cool factor that you want to try to discover, right?
Right.
So
they won't. It just makes me know.
That doesn't make any sense.
They don't prohibit us from teaching them, but they prohibit us from advertising and letting it be known that it's available.
Now, every time they say, oh, no, we're not against gun ownership. We just want it to be safe. That's completely untrue.
A lie.
And I'll tell you, that was another thing. They were walking around Tuesday, and they had shirts. They said that a lot. Oh, I'm not against guns. We're not against Second Amendment.
What did that orange shirt say? I couldn't read it from the
orange shirt
replay.
had a gun on it and a big circle and a cross through it.
Okay.
So
Because he had
That's not anti-gun.
that's not anti-gun.
the view that I saw had a monitor blocking the view of his shirt, but people kept referencing it. I was curious what it said.
Yeah, it just it
just knocked the
was no
monitor
gun. So
over.
you can't even encouraging the ownership of firearms or even going through a safety class, completely ridiculous. So listening to all this over and over and over again, I mean, again, I feel for people who went through some kind of tragedy and they feel like this has got to be a solution or whatever. I totally feel for them, but the suggestions were just absolutely ludicrous. So they finally did do the vote, Dave, and
Okay, I'm ready.
It was Joel Anderson and Jim Desmond voted against it, and the other two voted for it, which means it didn't pass.
Oh, good.
So the other side,
Were they all
Tara?
mad?
Oh God, they were so mad. And
Did
Tara,
they really think Desmond and Anderson was going to vote against it?
Well, here's why. For it.
For
I
it.
think they thought they were going to vote because of the way they set this thing up.
So-
Like I said, if you look at it, it was first off the people they hired were so biased. It's ridiculous. In no way were they doing real science.
Is this
and
another
research.
good reason why Nathan Fletcher is gone?
This is another. If Nathan Fletcher was there, this would have passed.
Yeah, that's my
And
point.
gone into motion. Period. But they set it up in such a way. It was this whole frog boiling thing, right? The frog in the water.
Frog in the
yeah,
water.
yeah.
Right.
So that this first section was like, it's not so bad, it's not.
Yeah, it's a little warm, but it's okay.
By the time you get to the third phase, all of a
It's
sudden,
bubbling.
everything you do, and it's this kind of
So what's their alternative? What are they? Because they got something else in the works. What are they going to
Well,
do?
I think that they may try to reintroduce this thing once they get a fifth county board member.
And who is that going to be?
Well, it's probably going to. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But there's so many contradictions. They can't say that they're just about gun safety and then ban gun safety lessons to kids. They can't say, "Hey, we have to do something to help kids," and then have a state law preventing you from telling kids how to be safe around guns.
But see, there again.
Both things can't be
There
true.
again, when you confront them with that, what do they say?
No, I mean, David, they're not reasonable people.
I know. Well,
you know
It's
what I
not going
mean?
to make sense.
They're not.
We deal with non-reason. I mean,
I can
it makes
I
sense,
can tell you
fine.
one of the things when in front of La Mesa, in front of the county board, one of the things I did point out was, on the one hand they say, hey, these gun locks they prevent suicide because if they just just limits the, just holds them up for just a second. Think about it before they commit suicide. Taking this lock off, it just pauses. It gives them a little bit extra time to rethink suicide. Then it'll prevent suicide. And then on the other side, they say, oh, no. These locks are so easy. If someone's attacking you, it's not going to prevent you from defending yourself.
All in the same breath.
Yeah. Both things can't be true.
I had a friend of mine who was diagnosed with cancer. Went home, got out of his box, unlocked it, pulled out a gun, went out in the backyard and shot himself.
A lock wouldn't have helped.
A lock wouldn't have helped.
No, it wouldn't have. And I think there's a lot of things.
And what do they have to back that comment? What do they have statistically speaking?
Zero. Zilch. Not one thing.
So they hope it will stop it.
Right. And if it just helps one, if it just
helps
helps
one.
one,
It saves one life, right?
One of our members actually did a great speech. We should go back and try to pull it. But at the La Mesa, you know what I'm talking about?
I heard it. Yep.
Yeah, he said, that's the standard. Just one life. I mean, that's the standard. That's what we're trying to base, public policy on. And he went into saying, how extreme policies, could be justified, with the idea of saving just one life. I thought it was very articulate, and he did a really good job. He usually attends the South County meeting, and I can't wait to tell him what a good job I thought he did. Anyway, we won. That was a really good victory for us. But it's, as all victories, it's temporary. It's already in the rearview mirror.
Oh yeah, because they are not going to stop.
They're not even close. Not even close. And then their next meeting is in late August. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything on the agenda that's anti-gun. We won't know for a little while, but I can almost guarantee you
something's coming.
Well, no, I can almost guarantee you that nothing is coming as far as real solutions for suicide and people joining gangs. So
imagine if they really went to the root of the problem and tried to find a solution. How much support they would have?
None.
If they really went after the truth.
If they did, yeah, but they don't want to.
No.
I think so. I mean,
you think so? You're such an optimist.
Well, I think that if they came to the table, if they weren't, Tara Lawson-Raymer, she's not really truly concerned about the solution. She's just anti-gun.
Right.
And if she were really truly concerned, if she really sat there and thought, well, gosh, what can we do to help, so that people don't commit suicide? 70% of the people who, it's about 200 people per year. If 70%, it's 140 people didn't commit suicide and use a gun. There's more than 140 people that commit suicide every year. It's just 140 of them or so use a gun. If she were really concerned about that, instead of just being concerned about being anti-gun, then there are a lot of solutions that everybody would agree on, but she doesn't care about that.
Well, what about the people that commit suicide with drugs? What about the ones that put hoses up their tailpipe and die of asphyxiation?
That's why not
2 minutes
do something effective. I will bet you that on the agenda in August, she's going to have 2-3 months to think about. 2 months to think about.
Oh yeah,
and I'll bet you there will be nothing on the agenda, that everybody can agree on, that will accomplish the same goal, because her goal isn't to help people; it's to pull guns.
Right.
Period.
See, she's just trying to find a way to eliminate guns, and if she has to pull the heartstrings of people, and use suicide, that's her goal.
Now, one of the things that the county did do correctly and right is, we have this new Not Me California, Not Me CA. Not Me California is the 501c3 that helps provide funding to our Not Me programs, Not Me SD, Not Me OC, Not Me IE, which, of course, trains women, make sure that they get a gun, they get training, they get a CCW. The county donated $25,000 to that 501c3. And so right after we won and got the vote we wanted, I went and signed the paperwork to get the donation from the county.
They didn't read it, did they?
I honestly have a feeling that at least 2 of them didn't read it, yeah. So,
see, you didn't think
that's good news.
See, you didn't think I'd carry these around.
I know you. Who knows what
you got yours?
Yeah. They're in my bag.
And I'm not going nowhere near that.
So anyway, congratulations to Not Me California. Thank you, SanDiego County. We are going to put that money to good use and make sure that people are especially women, are trained and protected.
Sounds like a
which prevents gun violence, by the way.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.